Have you ever been so scared you almost felt a bit of fecal material exit your rectum? No? Well, then you haven't played Doki Doki Literature Club. Now, for the unknowing gamer, you wouldn't think that this is a horror game, a psychological horror game at that. But because this game is 7 years old with a full-on console expansion that's been made, I don't think you wouldn't know about this game by now. I mean, it's pretty old, guys. You're greeted with a bright, colorful menu screen with 4 beautiful young girls that you definitely shouldn't think are of age at all. I mean, look at her. She legit looks younger than me. You're given the chance to write your own name before beginning the game, like any visual novel dating sim, but because I already started playing before recording, I forgot that I'd named my character No Balls. The game starts with you being greeted with an apparently annoying girl, a wish that most people playing this game lament, with her being explained as a bit of an airhead, but also a friend from long in the past, who has a bit of an oversleeping problem. You should remember that. You really should. The two of you make it to school with her telling you of the after school club she's a part of, the literature club, which she convinces you to join with the only reasoning being a promise of pastry. You're given this beautiful line, and thus today marks the day I sold my soul for a cupcake. Don't worry, it'll make better sense later on in the game. You go into the classroom to find that the club consists only of cute girls, with one of them being Monica, a girl you know from your class in the previous year but never thought you'd be able to get with her. You don't know the other 2 girls but later get to know that the pink-haired one is named Natsuki, a tiny bitch. She's very defensive and is the embodiment of a tsundere trope, and the purple-haired one being Yuri, not Russian by the way, pretty sad, who is timid and she is literally unable to speak with people but is actually very smart and well spoken once she opens up. And of course Sayori, the girl from your childhood who's literally an airhead who just enjoys living life and existing. You then get the cupcake, which was made by Natsuki, who's completely opposed to the idea of a male joining the group but overall falls over the idea of a new member joining the group. You then get to know that Yuri is really into books, so much so that she even asks you the type of literature that you're into, which catches you off guard and reply with the obvious loser answer. But then you find out that Natsuki is also into manga, which sort of makes sense. I mean, look at her. She really shouldn't be in this game for her age. FBI, open up! You then have a bit of banter with the girls, then pops the obvious question of are you willing to join the club, which your virgin mind finds a loophole to accept, but then are tasked with making a poem for you to share with the club, which you find as a dubious method to get in cahoots with the girl of your liking, either being Sayori, Natsuki, Yuri, or Monica. But Monica isn't an option because, well, she's out of your league. The poem minigame then dictates which girl you're going to romance throughout your playthrough of the game, with each day allowing you to access their backstories and get closer to them as you continue to give them these poems that are indirectly aimed at them, but you obviously fail at making your attempt slick. And I guess that we shall go in depth into the different routes you can take within the game, well, the first chapter at least. After the first day, you find yourself listening to Sayori and Monica trying to find a way to get more members for the literature club, while also trying to get reading not boring. Because while I enjoy the good book from time to time, I don't think a regular high schooler would. You are surprised by how seriously she's taking this due to her laid-back nature and are overall happy that she's being serious for a change. She then catches you while you're trying to catch a few winks and tries to scold you, but you fire back by saying she looks raggedy and even try to clean her up a bit by fixing a top and wiping off some toothpaste from her blazer, which is never fixed by the way. Like, it stays there, which gets her feeling some type of way, but overall gets the two of you closer with Monica breaking it up. Sharing your poem with her, she has the same reaction as any other day, because, well, she's that supportive of a friend, and generally has nothing special to say, but the others catch on to you having a bit of Sayori in your writing, with Sayori's poem being about waking up. She wrote that shit in the morning. Monica catches on the quickest that you're basically trying to write this poem for Sayori, but shrugs it off as a joke and gives you her writing tip for the day. After the poem exchange, then you observe Natsuki and Yuri exchange their poems to not the best of receptions, with you being given the choice to either pick Natty, Yuri, or let Sayori save you from the argument. Sayori then plays the peace card and breaks the argument quite quickly with no real side being taken, and the both of them being left feeling a lot better after the heated argument. You then walk home with Sayori, with her defending her friend's sour behavior by making them seem less hostile than when that happened, and telling you that everything's fine. The next day, Sayori tries to lend some money from you, but obviously you catch her in the lie, with Yuri even interjecting with one of the coldest lines she ever said, and Sayori shrugging it off like nothing ever happened. And Natsuki randomly smacking Sayori with the cookie she baked, which I guess was her restitution. Monica then comes in and orders Sayori to get supplies for the festival. Oh yeah, did I tell you that there's going to be a festival in a few days? Perfect time for a date, right?
Hello, we haven't been properly really introduced before. I'm Michael, by the way. You must be Alice.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Alice.
You too.
Yeah.
The two of you then go to a different classroom because of course you tagged along, with Sayori fumbling the supplies and getting a book smacked on her forehead, with you white knighting and getting her some apple juice to soothe her wounds, which ends up getting her feeling a way you don't understand but understand, with you going back to the classroom with Sayori carrying no supplies and you carrying everything like a pussy. Poem sharing time commences and Sayori really loves your poem, even thinking you've mastered the art of poem writing, with you admitting that you were thinking of her by mistake like the virgin you are portrayed to be, with Sayori continuing to be somewhat weird about the overall situation, missing the point of what you actually said, then gives you her poem, which dives deeper into her character, showing a side of her that can easily be missed as just trying to be emotional, but is really Sayori diving deeper into it, relaying it in a form of her joy being in little bottles that she keeps to give out to her friends as a way to keep the facade of being happy going, looking for happiness in the deepest pits of her mind as to force it out for those she loves, but inadvertently ruining the happiness she has left for herself. Very sad once you give it some more thought, but like I don't think you're gonna notice. But you do get surprised by it, so you revert back to being serious. On the way home, Sayori is being awfully quiet, which you try to get her to talk, which she then asks if you'd still walk with her if any of the other girls asked you, which if you pick her, she gets complacent and tries to convince you otherwise. But if you don't pick her, she'll be supportive of that decision and will have a very fake smile. The following day, you see Sayori not willing to talk, which leads to you asking Monica for some help, who isn't really looking at how Sayori is feeling, but how you are making Sayori feel, with her even saying she is probably more happy when she's around you. Even during the poem sharing, she doesn't reciprocate to your show of affection and leaves soon after. After that, the four of you decide on what to do task-wise for the festival, with Yuri not knowing what to do, but then making the atmosphere for the classroom is what she chose, which then leads to a choice between helping Natsuki or Yuri, because the other two choices are just placebos. The weekend rolls around and you decide to check up on Sayori because of her abrupt departure, which then leads to her totally folding and admitting that she has a very, very bad case of the dumps. I don't know if I could say that word on YouTube anymore, being honest. Like, I said it earlier and I censored myself, but I don't know, but I'll say espresso depresso. I say that with the highest amount of respect as a depression expert myself. You then try to show her affection with no real avail, but you then remember that you have a date with the girl of your choice, which then leads to some casual courtship. But after that, Sayori butts in as you're about to go to first base with whoever you chose, which then leads to this. Sayori, thought you didn't want to come over today. Well, I tried staying in my room, but my imagination was really mean to me. So I had to come here to see it for myself. To see what? What are you talking about? You know, how much fun you're having with Natsuki, and how close you got to her. It makes me really happy that you've made such good friends. That's all that matters to me. That's all that matters to me. Why am I feeling this way, no balls? I'm supposed to be happy for you. Why does it feel like my heart's splitting in half? It hurts so much. Everything hurts so much. This would be so much better if I could just disappear. Sorry. Don't say that. It's true, no balls. If I wasn't here, then you wouldn't have to waste your sympathy on me. You wouldn't have to put up with me being so selfish. Monica was right. I should just... Monica was right about what? Sayori, what I said before was true. I'm not going to let this continue. Caring about you like this isn't a burden your mind is making it out to be. It's something that makes me happy. It's something that I wouldn't trade for anything else. So even if it takes an entire lifetime, I'm gonna be by your side until it doesn't feel the pain. Until you don't feel the pain anymore. I'm scared, no balls. I'm really scared. What are you scared of, Sayori? I'm scared that I might like you more than you like me. Sayori. It's true, isn't it? I was weak and started to like you too much. I did this to myself. No balls. I like you so much that I want to die. That's how I feel. And that's enough, Sayori. I don't want to hurt you anymore. Do you remember how I said I always know what's best for you? Do you still believe me? She nods. I know what you need the most right now, and that's what I'm going to give you. You then have two choices. Deny her confession or accept it. If you don't, she then accepts the pain and accepts her fate with the worst possible reaction to someone who just said they don't want to be cared for. But if you accept her confession, then you get a beautiful scene that will bring a tear to even the most hardened CSGO player. Or is it CS2 now? Jeez, the rename really sucks. But at least the gameplay is still the same. Roughly. Oh shit. After the first day's minigame, you go chill with Natsuki, who's sorting out her manga collection, who is into a slice of life manga called Parfait Girls, which includes a character who likes baking. A tad obvious, but I guess she is still young, sure. Which begs the question, why is she in this game? I mean, why would she be a romanceable option? You can obviously see she is fresh out of grade 8. Ignoring that, the two of you enjoy Parfait Girls on the floor because, well, child. But then as she starts enjoying herself, Monika butts herself in and commences the poem reading, with her even catching on to the fact that your poem is a little too cutesy to be normal, but lets it slide because she cool like that. Natsuki then has a bit of a difficulty bashing the poem because she likes it, but then finds a way to bash it anyway, being very basic but to the point, running on wordplay and falling flat to emphasize the point. During the scuffle, you can pick Natsuki, which will gain more favor with her, but not without a light bit of bashing just to put her in her place. On the second day, Natsuki comes to you surprisingly and makes you continue reading the manga, which, well, is friendless activity, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Hold on. Whoa. Which leads to the two of you going through the closet to find that Monika moved her collection to a shelf she can't reach because of a t-shirt complaint, which leads to her wanting to take it herself even though it's literally arm's length for you, which leads to a mistaken upskirt which makes her fall on you, which she hates but ultimately grows the two of you closer. During the poem sharing, she goes ballistic over the fact that she likes the poem you made, which shows her more insecure side, which is really cute, but she then runs out of the classroom, which leads Monika to confronting you about trying to go her route. But then Natsuki returns with Monika semi-mocking the situation and then read Natsuki's poem anyway, which also dives deep into her life, showing that she is basically being chastised for her interest and is basically being outcast by those she loves, but masked in the tone of someone who's blatantly rude. But then again, your mind is elsewhere. The next day, Natsuki comes at you with the following volume of Parfait Girls, but due to Sayori being odd, oh yeah, it's not unique to her route, by the way. My bad for not explaining. It's a 7-year-old game, you know, and like, you know. She gets a little jelly that you care, but then eventually remembers that she is her friend as well, and ends up feeling pathetic to her plight. During the poem sharing, she admits to liking your poem, and lets you know that she wasn't actually jealous of you caring about Sayori. Alright, which then leads to you reading her poem, which is different depending on what you chose on the day of the argument. Ah yes, this game remembers your choices. Wait, is this a Telltale game?
We just want to talk to this guy. Oh, we're gonna talk.
If you chose Natsuki, you'll get a confession poem, which, well, is literally her admitting to loving you. But if you chose Yuri, she dips before you even get the chance to read her poem. But if you chose Sayori, she will have a poem that talks about beaches, which is really cool. Player variety. After the poem sharing, you plan on what to do for the festival, and when you pick Natsuki, you exchange numbers in a very cute way and then decide to meet up on the weekend. After meeting with Depresso, you meet with her at the front door, with her looking cute and childlike. Again, why is she? You know what? Forget it. I know what lollies are. I don't need to act coy. The two of you have a bit of banter, with Natsuki being more relaxed and cutesy compared to how she is more bossy and brash at the club. The two of you subtly flirt, which makes me enjoy Dan Salvator's writing even more, but then get to a point where you almost kiss, but then get disturbed by the oven burning because of a dirty pan that was left inside. After a while, you and Natty finish, with you later remembering about Sayori and her affliction, but then as you and Natsuki are about to split, she comes in for a hot smooch, but then as I said, Sayori butts in to ruin the vibe. During the first day, Yuri actually gave you books to read, which you didn't really want to read, but because large memory glands, you decide to read it. At this point, this guy never sleeps, making sure to read all these books, just making sure that he wants to get all of the ass. After the first poem minigame, you'll approach Yuri because, well, she's autistic, and she doesn't really know how to reciprocate, but overall comes off as cute, even explaining that the book she's reading, The Portrait of Markov, a book about a religious camp. Wait, nope. A high schooler who reconnects with her long-lost sister, but ends up getting mixed up with a human experiment camp, which is actually quite dark, but does come off as Yuri's vibe. The two of you then share a book with some pretty obvious word porn because she really likes body language, but then you are overall cut off by Monica, who yells in for some poetry sharing. During the poem sharing, Monica again quickly catches on to the poem being Yuri's, but then she lets it fly because she's an OG. Yuri then calls the poem exceptional by mistake, thinking that she made a mistake, but is overall happy with you learning from her. I hope the way I said it and the word literally being on the screen makes it make sense, with her poem basically being her flexing her writing skills. During the small kerfuffle, if you pick Yuri, you overall take her side but put her down more gently than you did with Natsuki. Well, Natsuki is a bit of a bitch, so the next day you and Yuri make some tea and keep reading, but you read on the floor because she doesn't actually explain, but we damn well know what's going on. But then as you're about to smooch on the floor with a beautiful share of chocolates, Monica chimes in to make the poems be shared. During the poem sharing, Natsuki gets more hissy than normal that you're taking a liking to her writing style, making her lament you more. Yuri doesn't do this when talking about Natsuki's style, but again, Yuri is surprised at how well you've gotten at using her style. Of course, I didn't use any guides like the rest of you plebs because I religiously played this game for like 2 years and even played DDLC Plus and completed it. My life is DDLC. But Yuri's poem goes more in depth about her own life, or more her addiction of having a late night snack, feeding a raccoon that is way too eager to see the bread being sliced, slicing a loaf of bread with a knife that is explained in a bit too much detail, with the bread itself not being the point. The point being the raccoon loves seeing the bread being sliced. I think that plants a seed in your brain for what I actually mean. I don't want to use these horrid TikTok words like game end. Yuck.
Well, I don't need you. I'll game end him myself.
The next day, Yuri oogles at you instead of talking to you because, well, but she also gets jealous over you caring more for Sayori, but also remembers the friendship and comes off as more caring than Natsuki, but that's to be expected. Natsuki isn't a good person. During the poem sharing, she really enjoys the poem, but in a more general sense that you have learned so much from her and that she is happy that you've become such great friends with her due to her not having many homies to read with. How sad. But then again, if you don't pick her during the small tussle, she doesn't even want to be spoken to, but because you saw how lonely she is, her poem is also another love letter aimed at you. It's a lot more indirect because Yuri's good at writing, but since we know she's good at writing, it's a bit obvious. And also, if you chose Sayori, she'll also share her beaches type poem. It's all about them beaches, bruh. You know how you gotta talk about them beaches. Apologies about the voice acting. I'm not good at voice acting. You're about to hear more though. Now that you've picked her for helping in the festival, you exchange numbers similar to Natsuki but more awkward. But then it's Yuri, what you expect. Now that you have passed by Espresso, you see Yuri already at the door. She didn't text you out of fear of being weird, even though it's a lot weirder that she didn't. You go into your room, which you cleaned all the cum stains off of due to you knowing that there's a female coming over, with her being a stratus on fast. You continue to have some more casual courtship, but overall have a more intense feel with Yuri not knowing what subtlety is, and generally being a cute autistic girl. But after you need to get some water for some water paint, you see her unrolling her sleeves and brushing it off. You remember that raccoon poem, right? Right? But then continue off to get some paint on her, which leads to you trying to wipe it off, which she sees as you trying your luck, which gets you insanely dizzy but gets cut off by Yuri seeing that this is less sexy and more manic. You finish your objectives and decide to dip even though none of you want to leave. But as you're saying your goodbyes, she gets into your face and outright says she is lonely and would like to see you more. But don't forget, Miss Coffee butts in to show you that you have no romance in your life. Now, Monica isn't actually romanceable, with her not even popping up in the poem minigame, but then again, cause she cool like that, I'ma talk about her. During the course of all the romancing and day starting, she keeps on being forgotten by the game. Honestly, how sad. You basically learn that she's trying to learn the piano and is getting really good at it, with the girls thinking she has found a boyfriend, which I did believe at some point in time when I was a younger boy. But after each poem sequence, giving you some amazing tips on how to go through writing the poems, saving your game. What? Saving your game? I guess that's why she beat you like that. It's literally the dev and girl form. My boy. Come on, Jack.
My dog, what's up?
Once you read her poems, you'll start to see that Monica isn't really alright upstairs. The first poem being Hole in the Wall, talking about how she's stuck in an unending void that she can't escape, with her figuring out that she isn't looking at the void but is stuck within it, and is looking out while he is looking in. Is she mad or something? But then she explains she had a bit of an epiphany, which would be brushed off as cool girl making cool poem, but her second poem is a little more blunt about it. In the second poem, Save Me, she goes into deeper detail of what the void entails, being multiple variations of red, green and blue, an endless cacophony of noise, unending noise with sine, cosine and tangent waveforms constantly covering her vision, explained in a very strange way, but overall being a cry for help, with her even saying it's all pointless. Even playing around with the space of the poem, with her trying to speak over the noise. Okay. But then she says some G shit right after, which I've been following cause my homie said I should follow along with it, my nigga. The third poem talks about a lady who knew everything in the world, even being known as a legend, but seeing herself as a feather that is looking for information with this lady, which ends up being told that there is nothing to be known and that nothing matters, floating off into the distance and going away. This is more of a way of saying that nothing truly matters, but sadly, you aren't even noticing Monica's poem because, well, hot coffee isn't feeling too good today. You even have the choice of picking Monica to help her with the festival preparations, but as previously stated, it's a placebo, with her getting happy but Yuri putting her down in a strangely out of character way. And with that, all the girls and chapter 1 complete. Yes, chapter 1. There's still more game, you boob. Look at the runtime. Okay, I'm sorry.